it's bad. Oh, it's bad. Oh, it's bad. Wonder Woman, 1984. They're saying it ain't that great. So, what's my verdict? I thought it wasn't too bad. Now, don't get me wrong, it's a stupid movie. But I thought the acting and execution made it an enjoyable experience. A lot of things didn't make sense in the script, or they weren't explained well enough. Like, there were new powers and rules just thrown in whenever it's convenient. But that's not what I wanted to watch this movie for. I came into this movie wanting to watch a hot chick doing hot chick shit, and I got what I came for, so no complaints on my end, alright? I'm glad I saw some of these reviews before watching it, because my expectations were low as a motherfucker. You know, a lot of people were saying it's shit. I saw it. It wasn't as bad as I thought. Who do you guys think is the villain of the movie? You think it's Cheetah? Do you think it's Trump? No, I'll tell you who the villain of the movie is. It's Wish.com. No, it's this. You know, it's the classic plot. Be careful what you wish for. It's the monkey pod. It's probably something you've already seen several times before. There's this magic rock and it grants people's wishes. Diana wishes for Speeve. Barb wishes to be a furry. Mando wishes to be the Rock. And the rules are weird too. It's like he can only get other people to wish while touching him. So he spends the whole movie trying to get people to touch him. And that's kind of weird when I say it out or write it down. So I don't know why the script writers didn't think it was weird. And it also leaves him like very vulnerable on two reasons. Like one reason in the movie is they show like every time a wish is granted, it kind of fucks him up inside. And like coughing, he's got the Rona. But another thing is like anyone can just grab his arm and say, I wish you fucking died. And then he dies. I don't know. The rules of the magic rock, they're not really clearly explained. Maybe they did, but I was just not paying attention. And that's the movie's fault. Yep, I'm stripping away all my responsibility. I came here to have fun. I'm not here to learn. If I wanted to learn, I'd read a book. So, you know, he makes a wish that he becomes the magic rock. It would have been funny if he just turned into a statue, but I digress. And then he gets what he wants by getting other people to wish on him. And he can either like manipulate them to wish for what he wants, or they can wish for whatever the fuck they want. And then what he does is just, he takes something. And they don't really say like what he can take, what the limits he can do are. I guess they did mention that, you know, the rock would grant you something, but it would also take away something. It's vague. It's vague as hell. And I'm fine with that, but I'm just saying I'm not impressed with the script writing here. It's not something I'm like, wow, this really makes you think. You know, if I was him, he had this business, an oil business, and it was failing. And he set up all these oil refineries, and they come up dry. I would have just wished for more oil. You know, I wish there's oil where I set up all these drills and plants, just magic oil, you know? If a fucking wall can come out of nowhere, I'm pretty sure oil can come out of nowhere. That's why the thing about this rock, it's really weird because sometimes things can just come out of nowhere or disappear into thin air. And then sometimes you gotta take something. Oh, that's gonna be one of the bigger, not really a big deal, but a lot of reviewers are saying there's a fucked up part in this movie. I'll get to it later, okay? I just wish he wished for more oil. And then you didn't even have to go steal the rock. You can just touch it while you're making out with Barb. And then I wish there's oil. I wish my plants were as wet as this nerd's pussy. You know? That's all he had to do. This guy's a smart dude. I'm sure he just needed a jump start. And he could have been great. And like I said, a lot of rules just come in and out whenever they feel like. Oh, sometimes you can just grab the rock and wish in your heart. Oh, sometimes you gotta like wish out loud. Oh, I guess now you can renounce a wish, and that makes all the bad things go away. It's like, oh, now the stone is sentient, and it can choose what it takes from you. It's like, oh, I guess the lasso can also let you go on a DMT trip, and it also doubles as a mic because she's like so far away. There's a lot of things, man. Like, oh, what happens when Max denounces his wish? Does time reset, or do things just disappear and everyone forgets? Do you forget? Is that why like nothing that happens in this film has any consequence in like BVS or Justice League or the beginning and ending of the first movie? That's why you gotta turn off your brain. That's why when I'm talking about this, I'm getting a bit more skeptical over here. What's the moral of this story? I'd say the moral is moving on, accepting loss, and finding joy in life. You know, despite of all its shortcomings and disappointments, and the fact that you can't always get what you want. Oh, another moral, or at least another thing I thought to have learned from this is that your actions have consequences. You can't just, go around wishing. I like that Steve and Diana's relationship ended the way it did. Yeah, I did like that it was just like some street corner, because we gotta get things moving. We're in a rush here. Things is going to shit. Speaking of which, the sound design was great. I love that scene because you can see the chaos in the streets, and the sound guys were having the time of their lives. There's a part where a policeman is bonking some guy on the head with a club, and then you can hear the thunk, thunk. And then there's another fat policeman saying what do you want me to do? I don't know what to do. Somebody help me, please. It's kind of funny, but it shows that people are desperate, so I enjoyed that. I laughed, and I enjoyed that. It's okay, this is serious. People are desperate. That kind of shit. I feel happy when I understand what's going on. When she finally says, I renounce my wish, it was bittersweet, because, like I said, she looks great. It's a big hero moment. She's running like a fucking champ. But I couldn't feel happy about it, because it was kind of sad. Oh, that's sad. Wonder Woman's outfit, it doesn't stand out too much in the 80s scene. Everyone's wearing bright primary colors, so she doesn't look too crazy over there. And the fact that she can do incredible shit like swing through a crowded mall in a skimpy outfit and a glowing rope. Nobody's gonna be recording that. There's no camera phones anywhere. That's actually kind of ironic when I think of 1984. I'm thinking of the Orwell thing, but oh well. The direction was weird, man. One of the reviews I saw mentioned how cheesy it was, and I thought, it is. But it's also kind of interesting. It's kind of like how Batman just does some shit and disappears. But when Batman does it, it's scary and intimidating. When Wonder Woman does it, it's kind of funny. I'm not big on Wonder Woman. I watched some clips of the Linda Carter show. So I always expected it to be cheesy. It didn't disturb me too much. What I did like was the quick, confusing cuts during the initial action scenes, because that kind of justified why people wouldn't recognize her, because she just does stuff really quickly, and you don't even know what's going on, and she's out of there. It is kind of staggering how much crime goes on in this bright, happy, sunny world of 1984. There's people robbing each other in broad daylight. And a little teenage girl, you think they're so innocent. Oh, I'm just gonna steal some gum. No, they pushed a bride. And she's gonna fucking die, if not for Diana. I was kind of disappointed with some of the camera tricks they used, because this is kind of a high concept shit they're going for. They're going for a body swappers get out thing. They could have done some interesting shots, but they didn't. There was one scene where the camera's doing this Michael Bay thing, revolving around two characters. And at first you see this black hair guy, and then Diana's supposed to realize, oh, that's Steve. And then eventually he's going to turn into Chris Pine. What I would have hoped for, when the camera's on that guy, I was hoping that he stays in frame, and by the time you see his front of his head, it's Chris Pine. Just for that shot, just use some deepfake CGI shit. That would have been cool. And it would have gone by so quick that you wouldn't even notice the bad CGI. And let me tell you, there's a lot of bad CGI in this film. Didn't stop him then. And then there's this scene where he's looking at a mirror, and you have a reverse shot, and it's the black hair guy, and then it's Steve. You could have had some more creativity. All I'm saying is the budget kind of showed. But it's not as bad as The Rise of Skywalker, where you wanted this big Portals Avengers scene, but you could only afford the voice acting. The budget just showed, man. Not a good look. It's like when you're going out on a date, and you take out your wallet, and you hear this. It's just not a good look, alright? Alright, I think I've shat on this movie long enough. Let's talk about some of the good bits. So, when Wonder Woman showed up in Batman v Superman, guys and girls were smiling. Probably for different reasons. It's the same situation here. Gal Gadot looks fucking great. I think they actually lucked out casting a model as Wonder Woman because she can be doing stupid shit, like flying with the one hand in the air and one hand by the side, and still look fucking amazing. I'm a meathead, alright? So it works, or it at the very least, it doesn't take me out of it. You know, like when the Flash was running all goofy, that took me out of it. There's one part I don't get, because early on in the movie, she has all her powers, and then her powers start disappearing, and then she renounces her wish, she gets her powers back, and then she puts on this golden suit, which is supposed to give you more powers or protect you or some shit. But I'm thinking, she already has her powers, so why does she need the suit? I mean, she lifted a fucking tank 70 years ago. And it wasn't like a great suit anyway, it was just like a gold leotard. She was all covered up. I'd rather her in her regular outfit. That's just me. I told you, I'm a meathead. What do you want? Like I said, you know, the script, it felt like things were just being thrown at the wall, and whatever sticks, even if it doesn't stick, I'm just gonna put some tape on it. I don't know what I'm doing. Right, the stunts were alright. I mean, they did this thing when the CGI is like not up to par, they just make shit real dark, which I didn't like. But I do appreciate that they at least had dynamic shots, like the camera's moving and flying with the characters, so that should look cool. Like I loved when she was lassoing on the clouds and on lightning. It didn't make sense. Like I said, this is a stupid movie, but it looks good. I'm an unashamed fan of Michael Bay's Transformers series. Alright? I fucking love that shit. It doesn't make sense, but it's enjoyable as hell to watch because it's visual stimuli. I'm happy. You know, it's just like looking at a painting, and if you get a good story, that's a bonus. If you get a good soundtrack, that's even more of a bonus. If you get your feelings involved, this is a lot more than I'm expecting, and that's great. And at the end of the day, I would say this movie didn't fulfill all of the things I've listed, but, you know, at least it looked kind of good. Kind of, because the CG was a little bad sometimes. Let's talk about Diana. She gets her boyfriend back after 70 years of presumably being alone. Jesus, that's a long time. I would say that's actually a good point, because a good point in any movie is getting you to care about the character. That's why I'd say Man of Steel succeeded in, because for the first time I actually cared about Superman. Here you have Superman and Wonder Woman, two like super powered, super beautiful, never gonna age, physically fit characters. You'd think that they'd be having the time of their lives. But with Superman, you saw that he basically has information overload. Like, he's just banging his head because there's too much information coming in. It's horrible. But it also made me, like, empathize with him. And in the case of Diana, she has, like, her powers under control, but she's cripplingly alone. I mean, think about it. She's been alive for 70 years on Earth. And, like, she never found a guy as good as Steve for all those years. And even if she did, that guy would probably be dead because she's immortal. It's like everyone she meets now in 1984 is going to be like a child to her. Like mentally, you know, she's just not going to relate to these new guys. They're not just kids, they're like grandkids to her. So she's just going to be alone. Even like when she was flirting with Batman. It's weird, man, because Batman's like a kid at this point. He's like getting his mouth stretched by Joker. So she's just not going to find a guy. You know, she might find happiness elsewhere, but, you know, as beautiful as she looks, she's just gonna be single forever. It seems that way. You know, maybe she gets over it later. I don't know. So loneliness and tragedy, I think that's compelling. It's like Phantom of the Opera, just like Hunchback of Notre Dame. A lot of movies do this. Let's talk about Steve. Initially, I thought he did good until I thought about it more. And yeah, this is the part of the movie that a lot of people think are fucked up. And I gotta agree, the more you think about it, the more fucked up it gets. Now, okay, let's start with the less crazy shit. Like Chris Pine, he's cast just because he has great chemistry with Gal. And it shows. He acted well for a guy who's out of his time. And he acted like he appreciated the world as it is in 1984. Like he was geeking out over escalators, the same way Dio was kind of impressed with cars in the 1980s. Oh, they actually took place in the 80s. How about that? You know, I like when characters out of time appreciate stuff like that because it makes me appreciate what I have right now in this world. Like I'm using a mic, I've got a dual monitor setup, I got the AC. Oh, it's great. But the fucked up part is how he came to be. Yes. I wouldn't say rape, but I would call it more like he got get outed. Basically, people transferring their consciousness into somebody else's body without their consent. I don't know why the stone is like that. The stone's just a dick. And there's multiple ways you could have fixed this. You could have just brought Steve back to life on his own. Like he could just materialize out of thin air like that fucking wall. But no, instead, what happened was there was an existing black-haired guy and the stone took Steve's soul and put it in this guy, and we don't know what the fuck happened to this black-haired guy. I have no idea where he went. Nobody does. He has a house, he has a job, he has like photos, he has a very, very diverse wardrobe. Nobody gives a shit what happened to him. So imagine you just take this guy's body, alright? If your Spieth was like, okay, I didn't ask for this, but I'm here, may as well enjoy it. That's fine. But just keep in mind that the person whose body you're in doesn't know shit, so they're basically unconscious. And then when this unconscious body is being used to perform sexual acts, are we just supposed to be okay with that? It seems weird, especially in the same movie where you have a would-be rapist try to attack Barb and he gets beaten the shit out of him, rightfully so, at least by Diana. Because we're saying rape is bad, which I agree with 100%. But according to this movie, not me, according to the scriptwriters here, if you have sex with somebody without their consent, it's okay as long as they don't know. That's what this movie is saying, not me, okay? Not me. I'm not saying that shit. I'm just watching, okay? Alright, we got over that part. Let's talk about Max now. Max, boy. I have to say Pedro Pascal's head looks just like the Mando helmet. He has like a T-shape going on. And I don't know if that's his real accent or he hammed it up, because on The Mandalorian he sounds like a generic white guy. Like, I can bring you in hot or cold. He sounds almost like Western. But here he really amped up the Diego Luna accent, you know? Life is good, but it can be better. So I don't know, maybe it was just to avoid comparisons to Trump, even though there were a lot of similarities, you know, the blonde hair, the failed businessman, the fucking power suit, you know, the fact that he's on a fucking presidential podium, but I didn't really think he was a one-for-one copy. Anyway, his whole motivation can be summed up with this classic by Benny Benassi.
Push me, and then just touch me.
He just wants people to touch him. You know, if people are complaining like, I don't like how this movie's making my president look bad. No, you know, if this is supposed to be Trump, then it's making Trump seem like a character you can really empathize with. Because, you know, he has a kid, he loves his kid, he's at his wit's end trying to keep up his appearances so his kid can be proud of him. He's trying to keep things together. Then he's not doing so well. I think that's something everyone can relate to. He does not want to be a loser. I don't know why his kid was Asian, but, you know, Hispanic people can look like anything. I got confused for a Mexican once. You know, a little boy came up to me once and said, "Are you Mexican?" So I get it. Yeah, like I said, I just watched season finale of Mandalorian, so I just kept calling that guy Grogu, little Asian Grogu. It's really fun to see Pedro act completely different from his character in The Mandalorian. Like, Mando is super stoic, but here he's like zany and manic and charming and frustrated. I think Pedro is just having the time of his life. And as for the character Max Lord, he never really outright killed anyone either. He's not really that bad of a guy, if you think about it. He's definitely dangerous because he doesn't think of the consequences. But at the end of the movie, he doesn't even get punished. So, if anything, I would say they should be upset by him that he wasn't more of a villain. But like I said, the moral of the story is just, like, be careful what you wish for. It doesn't necessarily have to have a villain. I'd rather the movie go this route than like in Frozen, where, like, Hans just becomes evil out of nowhere. I didn't like that shit. Now let's talk about Barb. Okay, so apparently I guess she wished she was a furry. You know, she said apex predator. I don't see why she had to turn into a cheetah. If they were gonna go that route, you know who I think would have been great? Taylor Swift. My Kirsten Wiig was fun. I think she can be funny.
I stand still and sing sad songs like this.
and I'm glad she had a chance to act a little bit more serious than usual. But I think Taylor Swift would have been a home run, because we've seen her nerdy, we've seen her hot, we've even seen her as a fucking cat lady, and she looked fine as hell as all of those. I'm just saying. It would have been a lot more appealing to see Taylor versus Wonder Woman, 2 fucking supermodels duking it out. I was happy with the visuals we got, but it could have been more. But yeah, Barb's motivations were nothing you haven't seen before. We've seen it with Jim Carrey, we've seen it with, what's his name, Electro. We've seen it with Buddy from The Incredibles. Oh, we've seen it with Catwoman. It's always this nerdy guy or gal who's looking up to the hero. I didn't really feel like she had enough of a reason to become evil. She just seemed like she was there. Alright, so this movie has a ton of problems. Let's talk about the scene at the end. So she meets the guy that Speeve was possessing, and it looks like they're flirting, which is kind of weird because she already knows what his cock looks like. Kind of makes things a little bit awkward, don't you think? But the thing is, this guy didn't flirt with Diana, and this movie made it a point to show almost every guy trying to flirt with Diana, so there's something up with this guy. They had a nice conversation, she was giving him a compliment, and he didn't even try to hit on her. So it's either he's running some reverse psychology game, or he's just not into beautiful women, so it makes it even more fucked up that his body was used to fuck her. I don't know, Patty. I don't know, this you had 6 more months to do some editing, and they didn't do it. I don't know what you want to call it, but if you want to call it rape, I wouldn't say that it was entirely Diana's fault. Hear me out. It was Speeve too, because Speeve was using this guy's body to fuck Diana. So at the very least, it's both of them raping this guy. That's all I'm saying. Okay, but anyway, Diana gives him a compliment, and he says, "You just made my day." And aside from all that rapey shit, I thought that was a nice message. You don't have to save the world all the time to make it a better place. Just say something nice to someone. There's a lot of joy left in the world, and you can do your part to spread it. Life is good, but it can be better. Yeah, you know what? I think that's the moral of the story. Life is good, but it can be better. All you gotta do to make somebody's life better is just say hey, I like your outfit. Hey, that's a nice head of hair you got there. Hey, nice tits, lady. That might be going too far. Don't do that. Yeah, just, life is good. Now I'm just wondering, she was around in World War I, and a lot of shit has happened since then, and if she had time to, stop bank robbers, where the fuck was she during World War II? About 6 million of them, they had some trouble going on, and she was just AWOL. Jesus Christ, lady, maybe you have the power to do something about it. Or I don't know, maybe it would have been 12 if not for her intervention. I don't know, I'm going on a rant. Don't think too much. You cannot think too much. You got Linda Carter at the end. I like her. She still looks great. It was a fun movie. I wish we could have seen it in the summer when things were going to shit, but I guess it's better late than never. Gal Gadot is hot. If you're watching it for that, you won't be disappointed. If you want to see a well-written movie, don't watch this. That's my review. Hey, you know what? I just thought of how to fix that horrible problem with the black hair guy. So get this. He's the delivery man, so as he's handing that parcel holding the rock over to Diana, he's thinking in his mind, "Damn, I want to fuck her." And you solved it. Or at least you solved half of it. Because it's still kind of fucked up how Speed and Diana used his body without him knowing. But at least it's not so bad. It's still bad. It's not so bad. I'm done. Okay, bye.